The rain hadn't stopped all day. It was the kind of cold, steady downpour that made the forest feel alive, breathing, watching. I had planned this trip to Hickory Grove Trail in Appalachia for weeks. I needed the silence, the kind of silence that could clear out the noise inside my head. But this silence wasn't peaceful. It was wrong. The trail was muddy and slick under my boots. My coat was already soaked through, but I didn't turn back. I never did. Something about the stillness of this forest kept pulling me forward. I passed a broken wooden sign that barely stood on one rusted post. The words were faded, scratched by time and maybe by something else. Keep out. Area closed. I should have listened. But I didn't. Past the sign, the forest changed. The trees grew denser, taller, darker. The light barely filtered through the gray clouds. Rain slid down twisted branches and dripped from moss-covered trunks. Everything felt heavier. That's when I saw it. A massive tree stood crooked in the distance, unlike the others. Its bark was gnarled and cracked like broken skin. Black sap oozed from it slowly, dripping down to the tangled roots below. I stopped, drawn to it for no reason I could explain. I reached out, just lightly. My fingers brushed the bark, and something inside me recoiled. My ears rang sharply like a burst of static electricity, and then I saw it. Faces, dozens of pale faces, mouths open in silent screams, pressed beneath the bark like they were part of the tree. My hand jerked back. I stumbled, almost slipped. The vision vanished as fast as it came, but the sap was on my fingertips. It burned cold, like ice made of ash. I looked around, heart pounding. The trail behind me was gone. No sound of birds, no rustling animals, just rain and the sickening silence of wet earth. I turned around in circles, trying to reorient myself, but the woods weren't the same anymore. Had I gone off the path? No, I knew this wasn't just getting lost. I wasn't supposed to be here. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed from beneath the ground, like roots tearing through soil. I staggered back and tripped, falling onto my hands and knees near the base of that same tree again. My palm sank into soft earth. It gave way too easily. I looked down and realized I had broken into a shallow pit. Inside it were bones, human bones. Some crushed under thick roots, others scattered like they'd been buried in a rush. My throat dried instantly. I crawled backward fast, my breath loud and ragged. That's when I heard the first whisper. It was low, too low for me to understand at first, like wind moving through dead leaves. But then it repeated, closer. My name. Burak. My heart stopped. I held my breath, eyes darting across the trees. Nothing. But I felt them. Eyes watching me. Not animal, not human. Something older. A flash of lightning lit up the forest, just for a second. In that split second, I saw them. Figures. Tall, thin, their bodies shaped from twisted bark and roots. No faces, just holes where eyes should have been. They stood perfectly still, facing me. When the light faded, they were gone. I ran. I didn't care where, just away from that tree. The mud fought against my steps like it wanted to keep me here. The branches slapped at my coat, and the rain grew heavier. Every step echoed with cracking branches and squelching mud. But I could feel the trail folding behind me, trees closing in, landmarks vanishing. My flashlight flickered, then it died. I stopped near a large moss-covered stone, panting. I looked up, and my stomach dropped. The tree, it was in front of me again. I spun around. The forest had wrapped itself into a loop. I had never left. I shouted, "What do you want?" My voice barely rose above the rain. That's when the tree cracked open. A loud, sickening snap, and a long, pale arm slid out from inside the trunk, wrapped in thick roots. It wasn't human. It looked like it once had been, but now it was something else. And then, a voice filled my mind. Not a sound, a thought. You touched me. Now you're part of me. Before I could move, roots burst from the mud and coiled around my wrists and ankles. I fought. I screamed. No one heard. The harder I struggled, the deeper I sank into the ground. My knees, my waist, my chest. The rain poured down like a curtain between me and the world above. My vision blurred. I looked up one last time and saw the faces in the tree again. They weren't screaming now. They were just watching, cold, distant. And then, everything went dark. I don't know how much time passed, maybe hours, maybe years, but I feel the roots around me now. They don't hurt anymore. They're part of me. I don't breathe the way I used to. I don't dream. I just wait. Sometimes I hear footsteps, someone new wandering off the trail, just like I did. The forest lets them get close enough to see the sap, to touch the bark, and when they do, I whisper their name, like the tree whispered mine.